there, I'm Karen Garrett. I'm going to teach you how to do grayscale today. Grayscale is a blast. I love it, everything about it. And so will you. So you're going to need to have some marker paper. You're going to need to have some markers, maybe a black one or a Sharpie maybe. Just cheap Crayola black would be great. You need black, one black. And then you will have to buy something called a colorless blender from the store. So we are going to try to make all the shades of gray. There's multiple kinds of gray. So on this marker, these are Prismacolor or design markers. You don't have to buy these, they're expensive, but just get any old Crayola markers. You need a black, okay? Now, black comes in different kinds of shades. So this one's called Cool Gray, which is kind of a bluish black. And so all the shades of that gray are kind of a bluish light gray. This one is the warm gray, so it has the warm tones, and it goes from like a dark, almost brown black to a light taupe kind of shade. Then we also have the French grays, which are going to be a completely different kind of grays, a little bit on the pink side. And so over time you can choose what you want to do, but for now all you really need, you have to have a colorless blender, some sort of a plastic white plate or just a china plate, any kind of plate that you can do without, just to keep in your art box. This is just a plastic plate I got at the dollar store. Has to be white because you're going to be mixing your grays on it, and you can't tell what a color is if it's on a red plate, let's say. So here's my black marker. A lot of people will go to the store, they just love, supplies like we all do, but they'll just buy a whole wad of all the grays, but you don't have to have that. You can make all of the grays, and here's how we're going to do it. Okay, I'm going to turn this down. Okay, so here's my plate. I'm going to take my black on my fat side. I always open it up on the wrong side. Here's the fat side, okay? And then I'm going to go like this and dab and dab, 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 dab to try to get the ink to stick to the plate so that I can have a lot of ink. Okay? Now at this point, I'm going to get my marker paper. I'm going to show you how we're going to make some different shades. Oh, see? Well, there you go. I opened it on the big side. That's the big side of the colorless blender. It doesn't have any ink at all in it. It just has the liquid that blends. It's kind of like having a watercolor, and it will blend your ink. So here's what I'm going to do. Get a little bit of this, and we're going to start here. You'll notice as it keeps going, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And if you want it to be lighter, then you just clean it off like that, and it's all back to, it's almost like a brush, but you can see how it went from dark to light right there. So let's do that side. Do a little bit more. So now I've come here and I've pulled off just a teeny little bit of the ink, and I'm stirring it around with more of my colorless blender stuff, and now I have a lighter color. See? See how beautiful that is? And then if I want to add more, stir it up a little more. I can come in and blend with it. Isn't that pretty? So, and then if I want to come in with some more details that are maybe just charcoal, I can come in with some thread. Isn't that nice? And if I want to make, let's say, a wrinkle where it's a little darker on one side, do that. And then I can always come back with my Sharpie or a micron pen to draw in whatever it is I want to do. Oh, there we go. See what I mean? So it's very nice. And so I think that in the wrinkle, I need a little bit more. So I'm going to get a little bit more up here. And I'm going to come in on that side, kind of come up into the crack there. It's blending with my line a little bit. It's looking really nice. Isn't that beautiful? So the goal here, that is how you do marker. Now, when you do watercolor, I would not use the marker tray. Turn this back on. I would get a new tray. So let's pretend this is just another tray. And then you can put some black and mix it with white and some water, and you're going to be doing the same thing, but you're going to use a tiny little brush. And that's what you're going to do with all the mediums, with the paint. Let me turn this on. You're going to either be using the marker, or you're going to be using watercolor, which I just talked to you about. Everybody's used watercolor. Just use it with the blacks. You can make it a little more brown if you want to do the warm, French gray, more pink, all of that. But it has to just be in the tones, and it needs to be from black through the charcoal, through the grays, through the light grays, and into the white. You always have to leave some white, okay? And so what you're going to wind up doing is taking your beautiful masterpieces that you've done, and you're going to grayscale them, and that's the step before we do color. Okay, so please look at all the grayscale, everything that I put on for you to look at, and do your very best, and I hope you have a fantastic time, okay? With the watercolor, don't be too runny with your water. Just dip your brush in the water barely, okay? It'll soak it right up into the brush. I would use a round fine tip or whatever you have, but it has to be small and something that you can control. They're not very expensive at the art store, but if you, like for the kids' brushes, but if you need to ask a friend to borrow a brush, just don't jam the brush down in the water jar, because then it'll look like a broom or something crazy when you hand it back to your friend, and they're not going to like it. So do like this in the water, and then dry it nicely on a paper towel. Lay it carefully, roll it in a piece of paper, tape it up, and give it back to your friend. Okay, or if they're yours, do the same thing for yourself so that you can have some nice brushes. All right, well, have fun doing grayscale.